probably say hi.
Hi.
Yeah.
That's a good start. Hi.
Welcome to our podcast. I am Tristan. I'm here with Jen. Do you like Jen or Jennifer?
Jen's fine.
Jenny.
Jen and Tim. Who's your last name? Goss.
That's right. Not
G-O-S-S.
goose, not
S-S.
cat,
Not
not gross. It's Goss.
Okay.
Yeah.
And she is your favorite wife?
My favorite wife.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
My one and only.
One and only.
That's right.
So we're going to be talking about the podcast, what we're doing here, and this is kind of it's a church ministry. For which church?
Yes.
Go ahead. You can plug. It's for.
It's part of our outreach to not only just for the people in the church to know who's in our church. We got great testimonies, but it's also a way to reach out and to the World Wide Web and just tell everybody about who Jesus is. And I think it's just we have. I hope it grows and expands and just goes in different avenues. Right now, we're trying to conquer one avenue, which is testimonies.
Yes, and conquering is a good way to describe it because this is it's a little bit of an undertaking to get things up and running.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
This place looks great. Tristan's put a ton of work into it, and we really appreciate you coming along. Been an answered prayer, and so we believe that it's going to be great.
I'm blushing. Well, I'm not really blushing right now, but I'll put it in post-production. I'll put blush on.
I think it's the lighting.
It's the lighting. Okay, so you started the church how many years ago?
8 years ago.
Very good.
Very good.
Very good.
Okay. My memories serve me
Memories. And just kind of on a broad spectrum, can you list the different ministries that, specifically, Jim, that you're involved with, but also just the overall church ministries? Go ahead, you take a deep breath and...
The ministries that I'm involved with.
Well, no, just overall, and then you
all the
can,
hats.
I don't know all the hats.
Yeah, you do.
No, I really don't.
As administrative director.
I'm just gonna say as administrative director, you're just gonna be that plug. Wherever the hole needs to be plugged, you plug. So basically you're here, there, and everywhere.
So it's kind of like ministry epoxy. You're just filling in the gaps and patching
Well,
holes.
starting a church from scratch, you have this tendency to, you did everything in the beginning yourself. And so you have like this baby mentality of like, it's your baby and you've done it for so long. But now, you're turning it over to other people.
Right.
And so sometimes you have this tendency to go in and be like, oh, but they're not doing it the way that I want it to be done. And so you're learning to grow in that area of let them lead, let them take it over, and let them even sometimes mess up.
So we're specifically talking about the podcast, right?
All of it. Every ministry.
Oh, that's good. Now, see, you got the privilege of we never did this ministry, so we don't.
Oh.
This is your baby.
This is brand new.
This is your baby.
This is where you coming off the ground with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we want to do a lot of testimonies. We've got a few in the bank. I don't know how you say it, but we've got a few already that are ready to post.
They're in the chamber.
They're ready to launch.
Ready to shoot out.
Launch.
Oh
Like
my!
that. That was good, wasn't it?
Yeah. So the gun analogies.
Yeah.
Okay, so from this point on, do you see it being something that you incorporate like on a Sunday morning?
It would be nice.
Yeah, I think that will probably go into different videos to launch maybe an event or something that's coming up that's new to let people know what's going on.
What I think would be cool is if you took because we're like most testimonies are 30 to 45 minutes. Time
Right.
to get down, everybody gets comfortable, and then they start talking and because I just watched Jeremy's, y'all.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, Jeremy and Justin.
Oh, that was fun.
It was good. It was good. So, but it took a few minutes to get comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
But once you get comfortable, then the story comes out. And so, what would be really cool is if we could take even a little clip of that and be able to show that maybe like a Sunday morning, and
Right.
and that way people want to go watch it,
Right.
and put it be part of the service, and it would be good. 60
Yeah.
like a 2-minute testimony segment of it, and then they'd want to come see the whole podcast.
Yeah. Yeah, because I really love the idea of people being able to tell their story, because
Oh, yeah.
everybody has a story. Now, some maybe it's not as exciting as others, but it's still their story, their walk of faith, their journey to the cross, basically. And
Yeah.
just like the it's not a brand trademark, whatever. With a Crossroads Cowboy Church, you have the picture of the cowboy with his horse at the cross, and it's pretty familiar. But that's the journey. It's how do we get to the cross? And we all have a story to tell. So now I know, Tim, you were raised in the church. We've heard a lot about your background, not as much with Jen, because you don't talk as much or as often as your husband does.
Well, not in the pulpit. I don't know if I don't talk as much as he does.
Oh, that may be true. I don't sit close enough to hear you muttering things. That's not true, Tim. That's not true.
It's more the looks.
That's right. Yeah.
It's the eyes. It's the
Yeah.
It's the
Everybody's
looks.
scared of Jennifer's eyes because she gets, they call it the big eyes. And when like the kids in the co-op, they said, man, we're all scared of Jennifer. It was great. Like my kids, when they'd have friends over at night, they'd all say, I'm scared of your mom. They would tell their friends, that all the kids would, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that really deserves a high five, because if the neighborhood kids can be scared of you, you're doing something right.
Yeah,
Because
right.
it's not your job to be their friend. You'll
That's
be
right.
there to support them, but it's to be mom. And you can, if you're the mom of the whole neighborhood, that's quite impressive.
It's true. It's
Yeah.
even in puppies.
Oh yeah, the dogs always like her. It's crazy. All the animals, because she takes care of them. They know who disciplines them, so they all come to her.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, with the podcast, that was, I don't know if you meant to do it on purpose, but you didn't actually answer my question about your background of faith. Were you raised in the church?
I was raised in the church. It was more Sunday morning Christian type thing.
Okay.
Like,
Now, what's that mean, Sunday morning Christian? What's your definition of a Sunday morning Christian?
so
Hold on. And we have to put out a disclaimer. This has nothing to do with anybody presently in our church.
That's right.
All right, go ahead, Jen.
That's good.
Sunday morning church. Well, this is kind of how I classified it. It was very much we lived a moral life. I'm not going to say we didn't. We lived a very moral life. But I would say that the Lord wasn't brought up much in the home. It was just kind of an underlying thing. And we went to church Sundays, and we really weren't involved in the church other than that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, oh, it does.
But I did go to a Christian school,
Okay.
so that was so.
Was that helpful or was that a hindrance?
No, I think it was a helpful thing.
Because
I do.
I had an opportunity to go to a Christian school for a year and a half, and I had the wide open eyes, but not like your wide open eyes. It was like, but I thought this was a Christian school. How come the teenagers behaving this way?
Well, you do have those kids that come in that have been kicked out of school, out of public school for different
And so
reasons.
it's kind of their last resort.
Yeah, and
All
so
right.
you do have those kids. One thing about me is I've always been pretty much of a rule follower, black and white for me. So, I had my moments.
Yeah, I'm not so much the black and white. It's more like the black and blue of bruises of doing things I ought not to be doing.
Yeah. Yeah. So, so I've always, I think it was a good thing, though. I do think Christian school was a very good thing.
So
It kept me on the straight and narrow, I think, in a way.
So what was your aha moment, or is like, oh, this is serious. It's not just going on Sundays. When did you step over the threshold of faith and really believe?
So, kind of going back to my big mess up, was with Tim. He came to the Christian school when
Okay.
he was 18.
Mm-hmm.
18.
Wow.
And meeting him, he was the new kid on the block, fresh
Right.
blood, so to speak.
Oh,
And so all the girls really liked him.
Oh.
And
What's not to like, right?
Right. He wore a cowboy hat. He had the big truck. He
Oh,
had,
boy.
he had to, just the thing.
Mm-hmm.
And
I'm enjoying this. By the way, go ahead.
You're enjoying this?
Go ahead.
You're enjoying this, okay. And so he came in, and he kind of was just he befriended the outcast. He kind of did that. And, but we just became friends. We didn't really have a relationship right off the bat, but we became friends. And then we became in a relationship. And I think being around his family kind of showed me something a little different.
But by the way, I like the foundation that you laid is becoming friends first.
Yeah.
Becoming friends and getting to know them because, as you probably know, me probably more so, the older you get, the less it's about the fleeting fireworks of just that thrill ride.
Yeah, but it wasn't a long friendship.
It wasn't a long friendship. So the friendship ended when you started a relationship.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
No,
Okay.
no.
We've not been friends since. No, that's not true.
No, he's my best friend.
Yeah.
But so how would that go?
I don't know. You were telling a story, not me.
Basically that aha moment, that when
I became to
when
the
you
Lord.
got serious about a relationship with
Okay.
Jesus.
So we just messed up. We messed up and I got pregnant.
You mess up. We get pregnant.
We did mess up and we got pregnant.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all part of it. It's like a package. But it turned out the Lord redeemed it. He restored it. He turned things all for good, like He always does. And but I was 16 when I got pregnant.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was summer of It was when I was 16. I turned 17 in November. But right before I actually found out that I was pregnant, it was October of 1995. I had to go back there for a minute.
That's way back.
It was way back. My pastor, our pastor, that was actually our Bible teacher at the time.
Mm-hmm.
He actually taught our Bible class in the Christian school.
Okay.
He gave a message on salvation, and I just knew I was very compelled that day just to go to the altar, and so it was really just a drawing, and I knew that I needed to give my life over to the Lord, and that was really the moment that I just surrendered. I surrendered everything, and I found out I was pregnant, and so it was kind of a hard moment, but I never really looked back. I just wanted to serve Him.
Yeah.
So we did the right thing, and we got married, and which was against a lot of adults in our life because
So you were, what, 17? And how old were you? You were probably 19 by then?
Something like that, yeah. 19.
Okay.
Yeah.
yeah, and so we got married in December, so it was just over 17, and
I like our wedding video. We still watch our wedding video.
Really?
And you
That's
watch the
terrible.
people that are shaking hands at the end, you know? And you can see on their face, these folks aren't going to make it.
these
Bless
kids,
God bless
they're
them.
just
They're
kids.
just kids.
They're just kids.
But look at us now. Here
Yeah.
we are.
Yeah.
29 years later.
Well, I was always kind of a very responsible kid. I can't say that I was like a moment where I was like I wasn't responsible. So
Yeah.
we knew we could do it, but it was a lot of new all at one time. Austin was born in March, and so it was a lot. There's a lot there.
Well, you might categorize it in a way that you're being young and stuff, but the little I know of you, there's a tenacious drive. There's the somewhere along your journey you've picked up, and I believe Tim has it too. This work ethic to when it gets hard, you just put another Band-Aid on the blister and just keep going. And so it could very well be that in that realization that you were going to be parents and everybody was scared and run away, that's when you decided to lean into it.
Yeah.
And not only that, you honored the fact that in order to be successful, you needed that relationship with Jesus.
Yeah.
And that's
I think you're either I'm a person that's all in or not at all. It's one or the other. When I make a commitment, it's there. And then there's a drive that's behind it.
right. So you're not a mugwump.
What's that?
A mugwump. It's you got one foot on either side of the fence, and what happens is you have your mug hanging over one side and your wump hanging over the other.
Yep.
That's a
Nope.
mugwump.
Nope.
No, it's all in.
It's all in.
That's definitely not Jennifer. Jennifer's.
It's either in or out. So I don't really have that.
No.
No.
She's got Tenacity, like you said, that's a great adjective to describe Jennifer. I preached a message one time called Bulldog Faith, and I said that's Jennifer. So when she gets a hold of something, she just believes, and that's why I believe she has the gift of faith, because she just when she prays, she just truly believes the word, and it's not, she doesn't second guess. She just believes with everything in her. And but she does that with everything. Everything. You can ask anybody that knows her.
It can be a downfall.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure that you can be a scary lady if people don't know you.
Yes.
I'm getting to know you. I test the boundaries with everybody. I'm pretty. I don't. I'm not prejudiced. I'll make fun of anybody, and depending on how people react, and of course, my wife, she'll often say, "You can't say that." So that's too late. I already did. But I've appreciated that. When you look at this church ministry, and I've seen a lot of church ministry, been involved in a lot. Part of the DNA of this place is once the commitment is made, you lean into it until the Lord pries it out of your fingers and says, "No, we're done with that ministry." Yeah. And it's contagious. Yeah. It's a virus that's a good virus to have in a church, that you're willing to take on a ministry and do it the best you can, because we're encouraged to do it, everything we do, as unto the Lord. Yeah. And if, this may sound weird, but if you fail, it's not on your shoulders. The Lord has allowed it to fail because you've given it all to Him. Yeah. And you don't have to take it personally. Go, "Lord, I was faithful. I did what you asked me to do. What's next?"
Yeah. And that's why I think you need to do it with all your might. I just think if He's given you something to do, you should do it according to how He has you to do it. And that's with anything in your life. That's how I had to raise my children. That's how I've done everything in my life. It doesn't really matter what the task is. He's given you to do it well. So.
Now, I know you may not want to admit it, but I think we have a little bit of the same fabric in how we do things. You just want to lean all in once you know that that's the way you're supposed to go. And yeah. But of course, then again, I like Tim. You've learned how to stay out of the way, too, on a lot of things.
I am the wing it man.
He is.
I am the master of winging it.
Yeah, but again, you have vision, and to bring us back around to this podcast, the vision again is to get the story out. That just like you sharing, you guys had a very, very challenging beginning. But God, what's that verse? He makes beauty from ashes.
That's right.
So when the world burns down around you and everything, there's two things that really promote growth, and that's the ashes, but also manure, fertilizer. And if you're like me, I've had a lot of both. Things burn down around me, and I've spread a lot of fertilizer in my enthusiasm, but even out of that, God can make beauty out of it, and He can, a new life. A new life can grow really well in those situations.
Good. Yeah, boy.
Yeah. So.
But I think podcasts can be a lot of different things. There's can be a lot of different avenues that come from podcasts.
Yes,
so.
But what I think we're tasked to do, or at least I'm tasked to do, is just to focus in on getting people involved, getting their story, finding out. Well, it's more like, how when someone's talking, you might go, I don't really relate to what they're saying. And you zone out a little bit. But then other times when people are talking, you go, they're talking about me. And
right.
I'm sure, Tim, you've experienced it on a Sunday when people come up afterwards and they say, "Who told you about me?" And that kind of thing.
There's a connection that takes place in people's lives. You know what I mean? And that's the importance of testimony.
Yeah.
Because everybody's life is a little different.
Yeah.
And we can relate to some people and others we can't.
Yeah.
So.
And we all go through a lot of the same things. There's two things that never change: is God never changes, and the human nature never really changes unless it's born again.
Yeah.
And so we end up going through a lot of the same trials, and if we can share those stories and how we overcome, you
Yeah.
know. So just like 29 years, there you go. How about it?
29 years.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations on that. I mean, my wife and I celebrate next month. It'll be 42 years.
Oh
Nice.
wow, nice. And you're
Well,
going to New Zealand.
not this
Not
time,
this time.
Not this time around. We're as you know, my wife works for the airline, so we get to travel on. So in our minds, we get to prepare for. You want to go down south? You want to go to out of country? What do you want to do? And we may end up just sitting on our couch and going, it's just nice to rest.
Understand that.
Yeah. The older I get, that sounds like a good time, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, anymore when I look at architecture or church design or a house design, it's all about where can I sit down? You know, that, where can I rest? You know, when you have an event for church, and I lean towards, I like to help facilitate. It's moved up, I think, almost to the top of the list. Where can people rest? They can enjoy it more if they're at rest. And that's why I encourage, you, Pastor, if I were to ask you what your day off is, you would probably just kind of smile and say, I don't know. But it's important to
You've been
learn
thinking
how to
about that
rest.
a lot lately,
Yeah.
haven't you?
Lord's been dealing a lot with me about that. Taking the day off. Yeah.
Yeah. Because well, yeah, I know that the Lord has a real hard time when you're not fully engaged in ministry. Things just fall apart. He can't wait for
That's
you to
not
come back
true.
for you to come back from your day off because you're vital to His ministry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's it. World stops turning. No, that's not it at all. It'll keep on rolling, trust me.
Right.
It does.
Yeah.
Okay, so before we wrap this up, is there may have been, or is, or maybe they're watching right now, someone who perhaps has a similar background. I don't know if there's
Or-
always a word of encouragement. And maybe we can glean that out of this. What's the word of encouragement for those who find themselves watching this podcast?
Wow. Well, I think we went down a path we didn't even think about going down, about talking about us and how we come to be together, and so, but God redeems. And if we'll always turn to Him, He's a God of the forgiveness and restoration, and He loves us, and He's always got a perfect plan for our lives.
Yeah.
It never goes away.
No.
A lot of people think that if you mess up, that the perfect plan for your life goes away, but it doesn't. It's always there. As soon as you turn to Him, that perfect plan is right there.
Because that's part of your story too.
Yeah.
Is you thought that you messed up to the point that you couldn't be part of ministry.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought ministry was out of the question for me, and sat in the back of church for 8 years because of that.
Wow.
Yeah. And so.
So you had your Moses time then, kind of out in the wilderness, just waiting, and then the Lord calls you back.
It wasn't wasted though.
No,
I went
no.
to work for my father-in-law, who owns a large cabinet company in Pennsylvania, and he taught me a lot of lessons. He mentored me, and he didn't even know he was mentoring me, but he's walking me through how to manage people, because there was a time where I didn't want to tell nobody to do anything. I just rather not. And
is that because you didn't feel you had that you had no right to tell people what to do, or
no? It's just part of me.
It's part of the shy pride.
go along to get along?
Yeah. That's kind of my heart a lot of times. I don't want to mess up. Yeah, I don't like to push the boundaries with people but I had to, because what I end up doing is I would get upset with people and I just fire them because I was the boss, and I had like 180 people that worked for me, and my father one day pulled me in and said, "Tim, you can't do that. You got to tell people when they do something wrong, and you got to continue to work with them, not just bottle it up and then one day just say, hey, you're done.
Yeah, because if you
Yeah.
did that, if in the present ministry, we'd have a lot of seating. We wouldn't be at capacity.
We could make a whole bunch of
Yeah.
disgruntled Christians, couldn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that is a good lesson to learn.
It is.
And that is hard, probably more for you, Jen, just with your husband's words, bulldog tenacity, to allow others the grace and the room to try and fail. Because without that, we never grow those muscles that will support ministry. If they're just dormant and never used, atrophy? So if you have, you got to work them out, and it's painful.
Yeah.
And this is oftentimes it's painful for those watching you.
But that's the start of our life, and the reason that it started that way, I think, is because there was a lot of lessons to learn,
Yeah,
and it was to be applied for the ministry.
yeah,
We weren't in ministry, but there were lessons that are very much applied to ministry. Yeah. So there's so much to learn just by life experience that you can apply to ministry. So.
That reminded me of there's a verse that it talks about, I think in the context of God's grace, and that angels desire to look into these things, meaning they don't understand grace. Yeah. They don't understand a God that they don't know what it means to need forgiveness. But because of our failures or our misstarts, God is able. We're able to understand God in a way that even the angels can't. We know what His grace is. We know what His mercy is. We know what a new beginning is. And even Genesis, the word means beginning. We serve a God of new beginnings. But not only that, wait, don't answer yet. When things go wrong, they get better. Mm-hmm. Just like Grandma Eve and Grandpa Adam, they sinned. But because of their sin, now we get to experience what grace is. I'm not condoning sin, but like in Galatians, Paul talks about, because the Galatian believers have the same mentality, say, oh, well, if grace is good, I'll sin more, so more grace will abound. And Paul says, heaven forbid, that's not what I'm talking about. Yeah. So anyway. Yeah. Well, with that, I think we've introduced people to the burden of the podcast is to hear the stories, and I'm actually excited about hearing about people, because this is my way of getting to know people at a big church just to get them in here. I'll probably do more of a spotlight and say, where were you Friday night at? No, I won't do that. But
don't ask me that. I won't be able to answer.
Yeah. All right. Well, with that, how about you do this, you guys? Can you say thanks for watching? You can
so long and farewell.
Yes, thanks for watching, and Tim, you could say something like, if you want to subscribe, you can subscribe.
Yeah, absolutely, subscribe. And you need to build this channel. Everybody needs to. Easiest way to spread the gospel is just to hit subscribe and like, and share it with your friends. Don't forget to share it with your friends. And
another thing, too, Jen, you might encourage them to leave a comment.
Absolutely.
Because maybe someone's going through something similar and they leave a comment, and we actually, as a church, we can pray for those things, and we'll get back to them. And then there's connection, even though it's on the.
It doesn't matter where you're at.
Right.
Yeah, they could be in another state, but somebody could reach out to you and talk to you.
Yeah,
that's right. And you could put in the comment box below that God redeems, God restores.
He does.
Yeah,
and you guys are a beautiful testimony of
that's
that.
Right.
So thank you for sharing your story. And again, thank you for watching.
Yep.
Yes.
We'll see you next time, Lord willing.